guys.
Come on in, Internet. Welcome to another episode of Drew and Dave. Dave and Drew. You know what? I should really work that out. Dave and Drew talk about Survivor. I'm
Hello.
Dave.
Hello.
Oh.
Good evening. Hi, I'm Drew.
That's my brother Drew. We're going to talk about the latest episode of Survivor, My $1 Million Mistake. Episode 3.
It seems
Quick
early to
thoughts
roll that
without
one out,
going
right?
into spoilers. Quick thought.
Yeah.
What?
It seems early. Okay, go ahead, and then I'll ask my question.
Well, I was just going to say quick thoughts about the episode. That's all.
Well, it just it seems early episode, right? To be talking about my $1 million mistake. I was like, they're rolling that one out early. Was like my gut. I was like, wow, all right, savage. I mean, it's a shorter season. I get it, but I was like, wow.
This coming from the guy who the last couple episodes has been really talking about how this season of Survivor is so quicker paced and there's
Absolutely
nowhere to hide. And
No
suddenly
argument.
the phrase "my $1 million mistake," that's a bit too early for that.
I honestly, man, I feel like that's should be the name of every episode right before the final three. Do you know?
That's fair,
It's like
that's fair.
because that's the point where it becomes $1 million mistake, right? But
Yeah.
but I get it. Again, I'm not sad. They're trying to ramp it up, and I think this season is so high end that people are really like looking. They're like, wow, is this my choose your own adventure moment where I picked page 152 and I really shouldn't have, yeah, it's just I guess like you said, as hyped as I have been about this season, I guess I was like, oh man, it's on already. All right,
So
like I'm not against it, but it's like,
so what you're saying is this season should literally be called No Backsies.
I like it. I can live with that.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
okay,
I thought it was funny.
All right.
There was a lot of
Backsies.
silence.
Yeah,
I thought
it's
it was funny.
No, it's good.
Okay.
It's good.
So
It's
we
good.
start off with Yasa Tribe in the heat
Yes.
of the night.
Yep. The heat of the morning.
Yeah. And
Tiff is just like, screw it. I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna do stuff.
when you know it, the early bird gets the worm.
I mean, okay. So internet, Dave. I don't know how
Yeah.
you guys feel about this.
I knew this was going to be a discussion as soon as I even brought it up. Continue.
Like, is there not an element of like they're making it too easy for the contestants? I mean, like normally you got to go out and forage for this stuff, and I haven't seen every season, but like, well, I mean, you can tell me this, but like, have there ever been seasons where there was something sexy just hiding at the fire? Like,
twice, maybe once, where it was like
Okay.
the trail to the well. It was a low 30 seasons, maybe high 20s, where they were walking to the well and there was just a thing hanging on a wire right
Sure.
in front of them.
Right.
So it's like the whole joke there was who wasn't going to take it. And it was something really bad, like you just lost your vote at tribal council. But if you can make this happen, you can get a immunity idol. But it was like too good to be true. And they haven't done this in a long time. And it feels like too good to be true is kind of the theme of almost this whole season.
You know what I want to see? I want to see behind the scenes footage of that ninja putting that thing by the campfire while everyone slept. Every trial. Sorry.
I'm pretty sure a cameraman can make it seem like an accident pretty easily, I think.
Did they hire those camera people from like the CIA? Like,
well, I mean, I don't want to get into too much spoilers for later on in the episode, but some people just sleep all night and are heavy sleepers. Yeah, I was gonna point that out. Thank you for raising your hand.
Okay, for real, if I ever actually got on Survivor, I would get voted off just for snoring.
Like
people be like, bro, I can't sleep beside that guy. That would be it. It wouldn't matter my social game, my challenge game.
You better know how to make a fire. You better know how to make a fire.
You are super freaking loud when you sleep, and I can't stand it. Please go home.
I picture Drew like you running the game, but you have a separate tent like 30 feet down the beach, but
100 feet down the
you're
beach.
still running the game. You're still like, no, trust me, I can catch fish, guys. I'm good in challenges. I just snore a lot. And they're like, oh, okay, so just go sleep over there. And you're like, yeah, okay. And they're like, cool. You make it to the merge. Wouldn't that be amazing? Just saying.
Okay, I could go on about this for a half an hour, but I think we should move on.
Right. So
So
Tiff finds the note, and then, like I
yes,
say every time, the episode title was said by
Shan. No.
incorrect.
Okay.
It was said by, hold on, it was Liana. Shan's not on Tiff's tribe.
Okay. Well,
Liana was like, it was right there. It was right by the fire. Like I should have. Like I can't believe, and like I totally get it. If you're Liana and you're like, really, Tiff finds it.
is that
Like Tiff.
is
Like
that like a little bit of an edit? Because I don't remember her for the rest of the episode.
yeah, she doesn't say much after that. But I just brought it up because she actually says the
fair.
name of the episode. It's a bit of a theme here on the Survivor Buffs.
It is.
So then we go to Ooh-ah.
Ooh,
Brad wakes up to the sound of laughter.
Oh, Brad. I mean, okay, let's keep moving.
JD is on the beach doing impressions of Woo. He does an impression of who else does he does? He does the Woo one pretty good. That's why I wrote it down. But he's doing a bunch of impressions, and everyone is having like loving it. So Brad decides, well, I better deal with the fire.
Sure. I mean, he's a rancher. That's his thing, right? Like, I mean, I don't know, man. Like a guy like Brad, like he's probably similar age to me, right? He works with his hands, although he's probably way more capable with his hands than me. Like you know, I'm a plumber by trade. He's a rancher, right? Like, I don't know. Like, that's what I would do. I would, red green style, right? If they don't find you handsome, may as well make yourself handy, right?
Yeah. Keep your stick on the ice. Yeah, for sure.
Well,
So Brad finds another beware advantage, the same thing that Tiff found. And I didn't want to say what the thing said until Brad said it, but
sure.
He sneaks off into the bushes and reads, "You have to get on a boat tonight."
Yep.
That's a crazy one.
And I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna try and get too off on a tangent, but like when this happened, I already have a stress level as a fan for Brad because of the inactive idol where he's losing his vote. Do you know what I mean? And right, and
well, let me ask you this: would you get on the boat? Would you get on the boat?
You know what? Honestly, man, like you and I,
like without giving away who finds the third boat ticket on the other tribe, if you were either Tiff or Brad and either one of their scenarios, would you not get on the boat or get on the boat every time?
So here's the thing, and I don't want to go too into it, but just so the internet knows, like me and Dave, like we've had some late night discussions about this repeatedly this season. There's so many things.
I don't agree. Everything he says is wrong. Sorry, continue.
Oh, yeah. But there's so many things that they're throwing into this season, and I think the biggest thing that I've felt so far this season is that if I was a season 41 player, I would take every advantage. I would be like, beware, nope, I'm doing it. Do you know? Yeah. If I played season 42, I might throw it all in the fire. Like, was it 34?
I don't think you can throw it in the fire though.
Well,
I think these beware things say specifically put it back where you found it.
So so when I say throw it in the fire, I would be like, beware. Nope. If I was a season 42 player. season 41, like they're doing a good job of making it engaging, and as much as sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't like the spot that player's in, and I don't like, what they have to choose between, and I'm frustrated. I get what the players are doing. Do you know what I mean? So I think, yeah, you pick it up. Yeah, you pick it up and you read it, and man, the rough season. Like,
Right.
I mean,
So,
yeah, you got to do something, but it's like,
well,
am I happy about what the paper said? I'm like,
Brad even says he's like, I love high risk.
true.
Some
And I
Survivor
and I think
players,
he made the right choice. I think,
Drew.
like, yeah.
Some Survivor players just want to watch the world burn. They just like, I am doing this. Everyone else can F off, and that's it. That's all it takes.
Yeah, okay.
So, by the way, I did want to mention I did like JD's impression of Wu, where he's like, "Yo, I just do my kung fu moves, and then I do this, and then I just whatcha get out of there." Is like so good. My Wu impression not as good, but JD's was much better. Um, Anything else you have to say before we leave the camp?
Uh, no, man. I'm good.
Okay, then we go to the All Stars, the Luvu tribe. Haven't lost a challenge.
Yep.
I mean, Nasir is playing the game. Nasir starts gunning for Danny, but Nasir makes the problem of telling the worst person on Luvu to tell anyone to, Sydney. Because then Sydney just spills the beans and goes, haha, Nasir told me this, haha.
I mean, I don't think it was a bad decision for Nasir. I can see why he trusted her, and I can see why you feel like that was a bad choice for him.
Like, he made the right play, he just told the wrong person. That's all I'm saying.
And I guess that's kind of, I mean,
it's a tough call. It's a tough call.
Well,
like I see what you're saying. Like, I get why he said it, but hindsight's 2020. It's easy for us to sit here and be like, well, he should have done this.
I guess for me at this point, I really admire Nasir's like physical, like his competency to make fire. Right, he seems to have his head in the game. Um, he's right, like a challenge asset. I'm rooting for Nasir right now, and
I love Nasir. Big fan.
Yeah, huge. Yeah. Yeah, it sucks that. Well, let's move forward. But yeah.
Well, what did you think of Nasir trying to like clear the air? Like, not seconds after him saying,
I get why he did it, and of course he had to do it. It was awkward, and Sydney made it awkward, or at least that's the way the cameras made it look. I don't know how awkward it was in real life. It was awkward, but I feel like with Survivor, like, sometimes you have to. Sometimes you got to eat crow or eat humble pie and just be like,
ridiculously blurry. There we go. Okay, sorry, figured it out.
Hold on. Let's do it. High five.
Hey,
do it together.
High five. Yeah. High
five.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think you got to do that with Survivor, where you do have to eat some crow or some humble pie, and you kind of think you're going this way, and you're like, I got to get myself back on track. Yeah, it was awkward. I think the cameras made it out to be awkward, but maybe it wasn't that awkward in real life.
So I mean, after Nasir gives this, in my opinion, half-hearted apology in front of the tribe,
okay,
Sydney spots something underneath a log, not 3 feet away from her. How did he get away with walking over to the dead fire, bending down, picking something up, and going? I know the camera showed Nasir, but there's no way Nasir saw that. So Sydney gets the last of the get on the boat tour for Luvu. But
so I'm gonna be straight with you guys. Send us emails, Twitter us, whatever us. If you disagree, I don't have a lot of love for Sydney at this point in the season. Like, oh,
Yeah, it's all good.
but her straight up ninja ability, she was like, yeah, it was in plain sight, and I didn't want to.
Oh, you okay, Drew? Oh, everything okay, man? Okay. Well, I guess I'll keep. Okay, you there? You there, dude?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
legit just missed everything you said after.
yeah, that's
this
fine.
is going to be our best episode ever because it's going to show how expertly I am doing this show. I'm producing and I'm on screen talent, people. It's a hard job.
So we're not gonna edit that. We're just gonna go raw. We good?
No, keeping it, hands down.
Keeping it.
It's more work for me, dude. Did you not just hear what I just said? It's more work for me. I mean, if I'm not going to edit out swear words, I'm not going to edit out that.
Well, I didn't swear yet this episode, right? We're good?
No, yeah. I know. So far, we're good. But
this episode.
Yeah.
Thank you, Internet. Okay, so Sydney, like Black Widow, sees this thing in plain sight and is just like, and goes over and like, and picks it up and goes, which, like I was about to say, and I think it kind of got cut out because of the interwebs. Sydney is not my favorite. Sorry, Sydney. In real life, I'm sure you're a good person.
Yeah, I'm sure she's a fine person, but
at this point in the show, I'm not rooting for you. I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry. I'm not sorry. But the play was immaculate. And definitely deserves props. Just like, oh, what?
I will say this: it came across as her almost just going away, walking away in a huff. Like,
oh no, she did well.
It was very good. Where it's like, where's Sydney's going? No one asked that. People were like, Sydney's being Sydney, and just
so that's
bent over at one point mid stride, and no one noticed, and she kept walking.
So that's what I mean. Her stealth play, I think, is on point. I'm not convinced, and I may be wrong. I'm not convinced her social game is strong enough. Where you compare her
to poverty.
Okay, well, so here's the thing.
I think she's making it to the merge. I think Sydney's making it to the merge for sure.
No, I want to talk about Shan. Like, if you compare Sydney to Shan, I don't think Sydney's game is as strong as Shan's.
Right, but Sydney hasn't had to play. She hasn't had to go to tribal.
No,
she hasn't. She doesn't even have a torch yet right now. Like,
but I'm just saying, like, it was a physical, like, it was a, because like, if you go out and find an idol, that's one thing, right? Your social game and your standing, you know, it's like a game of Sims. You're managing your hunger, your thirst, your, happiness, all that kind of stuff. And so your social bar is like one aspect of the game. But like, take an Oblivion 3 meme and be like, stealth 100. Yes, Sydney, stealth 100. Like,
I personally, I'm gonna say this right now. I think once the merge happens, it becomes Shan versus Sydney, Civil War. How many numbers you got? That's what I think's gonna happen. I think
I think
like I don't want to give anything away. A little tiny peek behind
how are you
going to
give anything away?
Me
We're
and
like only a handful of episodes in.
No,
I think that's a good one.
But me and my brother are going to record another episode after this.
Yeah.
We'll be releasing them both on Sunday, and every Sunday from now on. We're just trying to catch up, but yeah. Oh man, do I have a lot of things to say about Shan?
Even after next episode, I don't think there's any spoilers in that, and I think that's actually at this point, I think that's a really astute observation. I would say Shan and Sydney could be two of the strongest players in the game. And now that we're talking about that, let me
Mm-hmm.
ask you this. Who do you think are the two strongest men in the game right now? Whatever tribe. Because Shan and Sydney are both, I mean, Shan had me at the I'm a mafia
I
warrior.
have my answer, but I don't
Um,
know if people will agree with it.
Perfect. Let's do it. What do you got?
Danny on Luvu. I love
Okay.
Danny.
Okay.
Danny is one of my favorite male players. And
Okay.
I know you would think I would say Nasir, but I'm going to go with Xander.
Xander would be one of my picks.
I like Xander and Danny. They are both, they both got a good head on their shoulders. They're not like, they don't make the same mental mistakes
I
that it
think
does seem like. Nasir, I love your effort. You're a great player, but dude, you should have been part. Oh, never mind. I'm not doing. I'm
so.
just Nasir.
Okay.
Come on, man.
But I mean,
I
I
love
okay.
Nasir's effort,
So
but
back to Xander though. Like,
yeah,
he's a good player. He's a strong player, but he's kind of a high risk player. I think for Xander to win, it's gonna take a little bit of like Aussie Malcolm prowess. Like he's gonna really have to stand out in
true.
the individual immunity challenges, and I think he can do it. I think he's got the game, but I feel like his social game is a little bit like Cochrane the first time he played. I think. Okay.
What was it? That was the first episode or the second episode? Xander goes on the hike, and it's
Yep.
Danny, Xander, and oh, who was the third person on that hike?
Right.
Oh shoot, I can't remember who it was, but Xander, Danny. Oh, it was JD. Xander, JD, and Danny made a bit of a connection.
Yeah.
Like they even, well, I won't spoil anything, but like I don't know. I think Xander's got it going on. I think Xander's gonna make it to the merge. I think Danny's gonna make it to the merge. Um, I don't want to get into too many spoilers,
I
but
just think.
how about we just,
I
are
think
you ready
Xander
to go
can
to the
do it.
boat ride?
Yeah, of course. I just, for the record, I think Xander can do it, but he's gonna maybe have to play his cards more carefully than he has been. I mean, I
Agreed.
don't know, but
Agreed.
okay.
So we go to the boat ride. You have something to say about this, don't you?
Well, I mean, it's. I mean, we talked about this earlier. Like it's an interesting. I mean, just the way they. Okay, well, the first thing that I can think about the boat ride is Brad trying to make like the fake Ferris Bueller's bed.
So hold on. For anyone just tuning in, it is Brad on the boat ride. It is Tiff on the boat ride, and it
Yep.
is Sydney on the boat ride.
Yep.
So they all have to decide either to choose a tarp or an extra vote. Is it extra vote or steal a vote?
Okay. Well, so it's a combination. So if you choose to stay safe, then you choose not to risk your vote and you get a tarp for your camp. If you choose to risk your vote, you don't get the tarp. If and then it comes down
Is
to, well, if you risk your vote, you get an extra vote, but it's the way it slices out, right? So if all three players choose to risk their vote, nobody gets
yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Nobody gets anything, and not only do they not get anything, but season 41
Well, hold
style,
on. It's
they don't get a vote.
no. It's a prisoner's dilemma. We talked about this, right?
Right.
Like, if one person chooses a tarp, good for you. But
Right.
if the other two don't and choose steal a vote or
Right.
an extra vote, I can't
Yeah.
remember which one of the two it is. But the person that chose the tarp, yeah, still gets to go back to camp with their head held high, but they just don't have a tarp.
No,
Like,
they do get the tarp.
in order for you to get a tarp, everyone else has to also choose tarp.
Yeah, no.
No,
Um,
nobody got tarp in this episode. I don't know what episode you're watching, but no one got tarp in this episode. People chose tarp, but no one got it.
but so that was the whole idea. Is if you like, oh, okay, um, okay, we might have to edit this out.
Okay.
So if everyone chooses tarp, everyone gets tarp.
Right.
If one person chooses tarp and two people choose risk, then they get the extra vote. No
Right.
tarp.
Right, but the
The only
person that chooses tarp in that scenario also doesn't get tarp.
no, they do get a tarp. That's the whole idea.
No one got a tarp in that episode. Nobody got a tarp.
Okay, I mean we can go back and watch it.
It's called the prisoner's dilemma, with the idea being there's three people all being interrogated by cops.
Yeah, but if one person rats out the other two, they get to stay and they get all the goodies. Like just because they didn't film that player getting the tarp, like that was so. Here's the whole idea.
The ratting out their friends and getting all the goodies is the extra vote, not the tarp.
Okay. If two players voted no tarp and you voted tarp and you didn't get said tarp, there would be no motivation for you to vote tarp. Do you get it?
No, that's the misconception I think you're running into. Is there is a motivation to vote tarp. The motivation,
the way you're describing it is no, though.
No, but that's the way it works. I promise you, dude. It's all three of them had a choice of I want to say steal a vote. It could be extra vote. I can't remember which one. But whoever chose tarp would go home. But if you didn't choose tarp, you would lose your vote. So you'd be protecting your vote and bringing home a tarp. But if there is a split decision, the bad guys get the.
So can you explain to me what the definite? Can you explain to me then what the debate, and because this is clearly not getting recorded right now and going to be edited out. Can you explain to me what the debate between Tiffany and Sydney was then? Because why would you even, like, by what you're saying, if everyone risks their vote, they all get goodies, right?
But they all have to also go back to camp and explain why they don't have goodies for everybody else.
They can make up a story that no.
So you're right. They could.
So here's the thing. For any one or two players in this situation to gain the advantage, one out of the three players must vote tarp and get said tarp. Now, in order to have two players to convince one player to vote tarp, there has to actually be some light at the end of the tunnel. There's going to be no way for two players to be like, hey, can you take the low road on this and take the lesser advantage in order for us to gain the greater advantage? Like, they actually have to have a leg to stand on and be like, hey, I'm going to give you this crumb.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
Tiff and Brad made it sound like they had no better option other than to risk their vote, because Brad, to be fair, had the lets everyone say multiple magical phrases. So Brad couldn't vote anyway, so he was obviously going to choose risk your vote. Tiff figured she was maybe on the outs. She was kind of thinking about risking her vote. Sydney felt super secure in her team, so she was kind of like, I don't need to risk my vote. Why not I keep my vote? That was sort of the three. That was the three mentalities the Survivor gods edited upon us.
Is there an actual rules on this on the wiki? Because I really don't remember this at all the same as you.
Well, no, they all had the same option. What do you mean? They all went to an island.
No, I understand that, and then I understand that they all had a choice. It's the outcome after the different players make the choice that I think you and I are confused about. You know, if a player chose tarp, they got tarp. No questions asked.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. That might be the confusion. You don't get a tarp, no questions asked.
I'm not actually confused about that.
Sydney picked tarp, and there was no tarp in her mailbox the next day. Sydney and Tiff both picked tarp. They did not get tarps.
Or did they not just put that like? So
no. The catch is Brad took his chance. He loses his chances of vote.
Right.
Like he doesn't get to vote, but because the other two picked tarp, because Brad picked what he picked, the other two don't get the tarps, but they still get their votes. They didn't give up their votes like Brad did. Brad took a shot in the dark, went balls to the walls, and was like, I'm going to do this.
Okay.
And Sydney and Tiff were both like,
so the whole idea,
I'm going to go with tarp, but if there's one defector, the good guys don't get everything. Do you want me to explain the prisoner's dilemma?
Well,
it's like a psychological like problem, like the trolley problem. So you and two of your friends are all being held captive by the cops. You and two of your friends, right? So the idea being, if one of you squeals on the other two, you'll get to go free, and the other two will have to go to jail. But if no one squeals and you guys all like hold true to your word, like all three of you guys probably wouldn't have to go to jail for that long. But if two out of the three of you, not just one, if two out of the three of you all like pin it on that guy, like person C, then yeah, you both get to go free. But that person is getting jail time like times a million. So it's like, do you all keep your mouth shut for a reduced jail sentence? Does one of you squeal for a lesser jail sentence? Or, you know what I mean? Like, it's a bit of a combination. So the people that risk their vote are the ones that are squealing. They're at a bit of a disadvantage. They will get that advantage. It's just on a bit of a delay.
But do you see what I'm saying in the way that you're laying out the premise? There is zero reward for anyone just being honest and not risking their vote.
No, there's 100% a way.
There isn't. What's the reward? Tell me what the reward is.
Well, so for example, if you had chose tarp,
so let's
you
say
might not have got. Yeah. No. If we're going to use it in the episode contents, if we're talking about tarp and keeping your vote, or risking the tarp and risking your vote in order to get an extra vote,
there's two choices.
Right. There is two choices. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. It's risking your vote or keeping your vote.
Right.
Yeah.
So if player 2 and 3 risk their vote, what is the, like, in the situation that you're saying, because what you're describing is like there is never an upside to keeping your vote.
No, there is.
What's the
You
upside
still
to
get
keeping your
you
vote?
still get your vote. You still get your vote. The people that voted
So you still get your
TARP
vote, but
still
no
get
TARP.
their vote. They just know TARP. Yeah. Like, you still get your vote, but because one of the three of you was a scoundrel, you don't get your TARP. But you still get your vote.
I don't know. Maybe I misunderstood it. Yeah. It didn't seem that way when I watched it, but it seemed like the vote and the TARP were tied pretty close together. So the impression
Well,
that I
because
yeah.
sorry. Okay. So Tiff and Tiff and Sydney and Brad get to the island, and Tiffany makes it seem like she's gonna risk her vote. She's like, I'm on the bottom on my tribe. Like, I'm gonna risk my
I
vote.
mean,
And
I mean,
Sydney is like,
and
I'm
Tiffany doesn't come
sitting
up with that.
kind of pretty.
Tiffany doesn't come up with that. They put that on Tiffany, and they're like, "Hey man, you're on the bottom. Are you really gonna risk your vote? Are you?"
Sydney was not gonna risk her vote. Brad was like, I live on the
Well,
edge. Like,
so
bet it
let's be
all
real.
on black,
So
baby.
so let's be real about this situation. They come in, and Sydney puts it on Tiffany, and it's like, well, yeah, you're not really gonna risk your vote, right? And they start getting into it, and Sydney kind of reveals a weakness, right? And she's like, "Well, I'm probably gonna do this." And Tiffany's like, and Tiffany, to her credit, immediately comes back and it's like, I mean, well, if that's the way it is, you're not gonna you're not gonna risk your vote, or you're not gonna, like,
I like that line. Tiffany's playing harder than people think. Harder than people think. Yeah.
well, Sydney's the one that comes at her and like is like, we're gonna do this, and then as soon as kind of Sydney reveals kind of her weakness, um, that's the abdomen of the dragon's Smaug there. That's what I'm gesturing. Thank you,
I
internet.
feel like
Um,
I feel like we're oh, never mind. Never mind. Maybe I shouldn't.
no, it's okay.
I
It can
feel
be
like
edited.
chink in the armor is a common phrase. I think we're
Yeah.
allowed to say it. Come
Oh,
at
yeah.
me, internet. Okay.
Yeah.
Drew was being a really nice Canadian boy there.
So,
Sorry, didn't mean to throw you there. My bad.
so Sydney's like, comes at her like, well, it's not gonna, and well, yeah. I feel like we need to go through the rules of this, but Sydney come because, like, when Sydney pushes at Tiffany, right, about,
Yeah.
well, you're gonna do this. It's kind of it's a bit of a power move, right? When she's like,
It's
well,
gameplay. When they're all talking, I picture all three of them sword fighting. You know, like when all three of them are like, "What are you gonna do?" I don't know. What you're gonna do? I picture all three of them, Princess Bride, just sword fighting two people, and like, oh man, Tiff is like, "I'm not actually right-handed," and flips hands. Like, I don't know. It's a poker game right there. That's what it is. All three of them are sat down at the table. They have the all of the exact same hand. It's who's gonna fold and who's gonna call. That's what it
right,
comes down to.
but like, so what's the motive? Like,
Uh-huh.
um, if I don't know, man. Like, if
Like, would you do one versus the other? Like let's
so
okay, hold on.
I
Let's go simple. If you were
I
in Tiff's
honestly, man,
position, would
I
you risk your vote or
So the problem is that
Come
I
back
think
with a tarp.
I misunderstand the premise of it, because it was my understanding when I watched it, and maybe this is a thing for, for a new fan, Survivor.
No, this is
Season
a
41,
new
episode 3.
mechanic. It's a new mechanic, dude.
Yeah, and it's a new mechanic as a new fan that I don't understand clearly, because my impression was that if all three of them went risk a vote, nobody gets anything. If all three of them go, I'm going to save my vote, I get a tarp, everybody gets tarp. Do you know what I mean? Um, I wasn't aware from the way that they laid it out that if one player, like, so here's
Yeah,
the thing. No,
but
let me
knowing
ask you
what you
this.
know now.
No, not knowing.
Okay.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So you got three players.
Yeah.
You, me, and my cat, Wicket. Okay,
Steve, Wicked,
Steve,
Wicked,
Steve,
love it, love
Wicket.
it, love it.
Okay,
No,
you, me, and
Wicked,
Wicket.
yeah, yeah.
If one of us votes tarp, right? In order, in my understanding, for the other two players to get the advantage, and that one player doesn't get the tarp by playing it safe, why would that one person ever vote tarp? Ever?
I get to keep my vote if I vote tarp.
Do you?
If you vote against, you don't get your vote. Yeah. You're jumping off a cliff, you're making a risk.
It didn't
I'm
seem
making
like
a
it didn't
safe
seem
I'm
like the
making
tarp
a
and the vote were
safe play.
synonymous.
But if I make a safe
When they
play,
explained it, the tarp and the vote didn't seem synonymous. It seemed like
okay.
if you voted tarp, you lost the game.
There's
Maybe
there's
I'm wrong, but
there's like medication we can look into. I can get you in touch with some good people, but like seriously, the way like I'll look up like uh prisoners dilemma. It's like one of the like I think it was Erica that says it in like the first episode when I think it was Brad comes back and he goes, "Oh, they made us choose between this." Erica's like, "Oh, it's like prisoner's dilemma," and everyone's like, "Oh, okay." So the idea being, you have what, um, yeah, A and B are both being interrogated, right? So if A and B betray each other, each
yeah.
of them
No,
serves 2 years
I,
in
I,
prison.
I understand the thing. I just didn't know that the vote and the tarp were separate. It wasn't apparent to me as a newer fan.
Oh,
I
okay.
thought,
No, it's the
I thought
first
that,
time I've heard about it. I didn't
I
know
thought that
what
the vote,
the
I thought that the vote and the tarp were synonymous. So if you voted tarp, um, and the other two people voted, like, I thought that if the other two people voted not tarp, that you would keep your vote and get your tarp. Um, and what you're saying is, like,
it's
there's somebody
exactly
that voted to
like
keep their vote and they didn't get their tarp. Is that
it's exactly like every other time they have done this challenge this season. All they
right?
did was added a tarp incentive to
Sure.
keep your vote. Like in episode 1, you
Right.
got to choose to keep your vote or risk your vote. But what they decided to do this time is the people that kept their vote don't also get to keep their
No, that's the whole idea. If you protect your vote, you get to keep the tarp.
no, but it's not about everyone that chooses what they want gets to keep what they want. We'll put a bunch of good guys and bad guys in a room and they all get to choose what they want and there's no consequences and we'll just see how this affects the game.
Right.
They made consequences. Like the bad guys in the first couple episodes, the first 2 episodes, which
Right.
we released last Sunday. I can't believe it's taken this long for me to mention that. But the bad guys that risked their vote last Sunday got to get an extra vote, but they had to go without a vote. Now they're saying you don't have to go without a vote. you just get a tarp. But if someone out of the three of you decides to go for an extra vote, then he's the jerk. He doesn't get to vote. Sucks to be him, but also sucks to be you. You don't get a tarp. But you still get your vote because you didn't risk your vote. Yippee. Good for you. That's what it is, dude. Oh my god, I can't wait to edit this in.
I guess I thought that it was like if
They had to create incentives on both sides.
yeah, but what you're saying is there's no incentive to keep your vote because you can keep your vote and you don't get a tarp, and that doesn't make sense in my brain.
Are you telling me the ability to vote is not something you value? The ability to vote. The ability to vote. This is Survivor.
Well,
and you would risk your vote willy-nilly. Sorry, I'm just joking around.
There's no risk to keeping your vote in this situation. Nobody is risking their vote in this situation. Like, everyone gets to keep their vote. So
except for the people that risk their vote. If there's two of you and one of me and I risk my vote, I get an extra vote.
And see, that's what doesn't add up is why would you not risk your vote if you didn't know you were going to get a tarp? You're just gonna be like, I'm gonna white knight it in hopes I get a tarp, in hopes that those other two people don't risk their vote. That makes zero sense.
Okay, so let me get this straight, Drew. No? Me and two of you get taken on three separate boats to an island, and they're told the same thing, where you can either get an extra vote or a tarp. But here's the catch.
Yeah,
if there's a split decision, the people that chose tarp get to keep. No, don't get to keep their vote, but they don't get tarps. Everyone has to vote, keep their vote for all three people to get tarps. But if there is one person that decides I want an extra vote, then the two people that chose tarp don't get the tarps, but they still get their votes. Like, yay, Dave won. He still doesn't have a vote. He has an extra vote, but he has to survive one extra council. Like, it's a go big or go home sort of play.
Yeah, I guess I didn't watch the show well enough.
Okay, fair enough.
Like, maybe it's an editing thing, but it didn't seem like. I don't know. It just seemed like if you played it safe, you would get a tarp, and I guess I just wasn't watching.
And if you played it like douchebaggy, you would get the benefits. Like, what's the choice there? You know, what's the balance?
Well, I mean, you're already the player that found the advantage. Why shouldn't you bring home a tarp for your risk? You're leaving your tribe in the middle of the night. You're already heating yourself out. It's already a bad thing unless you come home with something better. And even the thing is, you leave on a boat in the middle of the night and all you come back with is a tarp, you got a target on your back anyways.
I feel like I should edit out almost a full 20 minutes of this conversation because, dude, you hit the nail on the head. Like, Brad had multiple advantages. He didn't need to, like, it's.
Yeah,
but if you were Brad, would you have gotten on that boat?
If I was Brad, yeah, I would.
If you were Brad,
because I'd be Brad.
Fair enough. If you were Sydney, would you get on that boat?
Yeah. If I was Sydney, yeah, I'd get on that boat.
And let's face it, Tiff would get on that boat. Am I right?
I feel like if I were Tiff, a little bit more on the fence. I think Tiff is a little bit more cautious. That's just my
so it's I don't want to move us along, and I don't want to edit a lot of this out. I want to keep it all just raw. So let's just keep going. We get to the challenge. Do you have any notes on the challenge, Drew? I'm not teeing you up. I'm just curious. Like I have my notes. And so here it is. I'll say it. The 3-phrase immunity idol. Do you have to all say it before the immunity challenge? There's no rule.
So here's my question. Do you actually have to say it phrase for phrase? Brad.
Oh, I think you got to say it phrase for phrase. I think Survivor's sticklers. They are the world's worst librarians.
So then, with that thought, Brad had no hope anyways, even if all 3 people had the idol.
He had to say it, though. He had to at least prove to Xander, hey, we're on the same team, bud. Like, he had to say it. Didn't he?
But when it comes to the Survivor gods and all that stuff, I mean, he didn't say it right. They're standing on the pontoons there at the end, and Brad cracked his head and hey, well, he's like, yeah, what you had to say. They were they recognize each other, but the way that Brad said it, if we're gonna talk rules, right? Mr. Probst in a challenge, right? Oh, you didn't do the thing when you were supposed to do the thing. Just me. I don't think what Brad said actually qualified as the Central Intelligence Agency or CSIS activation phrase. And it's the first time that they've brought this mechanic into the game, so I can see that there might be leeway there, but there was no thing on the note that was here are the key phrases, broccoli and trees, and you're good.
There was key phrases in the note. There was just no specified, here's where you're all supposed to say them. Like it's not like Power Rangers or Captain Planet. By our powers combined, it doesn't need to be like that.
But it's at no time were the key phrases said. There were words.
Well, Xander said them twice. Are we literally? Are you gonna legit be like that wasn't the exact phrase?
Well, so given that this is a new Survivor mechanic, I'm wondering, for the magical spell to go off, do you have to say every word in the phrase, or is there just a word or two in the phrase that you can say and the magic works?
Okay, let me ask you.
And I don't think that's an answer that you have either.
I feel like I have an answer. It just might be controversial.
Let's do it.
I feel like there's certain players that they can just sort of like the football can glance the goalpost and still go in, and I'll count it. And other people are like, no, that bounced in and out, or that's I don't know. I feel like I want to give as much leeway as possible to the phrases that CBS gave us, because they're all ridiculous. They're all the stupidest phrases ever. And
can I
butterflies or dead relatives saying hello? How are you supposed to say that in front of 10 other people after you've already been on this island or peninsula for 8 days? And then someone's supposed to give you this automatic line about broccoli? It's ridiculous. I'm glad that this episode. Oh, well.
Yeah, there it is. I agree. You're right.
It's just, oh man, it's a ridiculous thing. But the payoff is going to be huge. The payoff is going to be huge. It's going to be so amazing when that episode happens. when all three sentences are said,
5 seasons
and all
from now.
three people are gonna have to try and like contain their excitement that all three of them now have an immunity idol, and they're gonna have to. Oh, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. CBS editing team is gonna have a big day.
So, I want to know the rules.
What are the rules?
That's my question.
Rules for what? The
How you
idol?
have to say it. How you have to say the phrase.
Well, see, I
What
guess
is
it's
the
more of
phrase that
when.
pays?
Well, when you
Come on,
have
that
to
was good.
say it,
It
I
was a little
guess
bit.
would be
A little bit.
my. Oh, you could have just said, "Show me the money." That would have been good.
Oh, that would have been better. Okay,
That would have been good. But like
would have been good.
when you
Would have
say
been
the
good.
phrase, because in this episode, Xander and oh my god,
Well, so would it have not been better to set it up where there was like a key phrase or word like anti-disestablishmentarianism or something, or something that was like, so I love this mechanic, don't get me wrong,
yeah,
but
but Xander and
I
Brad had a perfect chance to talk to each other, and they didn't need to be all cryptic. Like in the opening intro when Jeff's like, "Hey, how's it
can you
going,
can you
Xander?"
explain what's behind that statement, because I
Yeah,
like,
because the beginning of the
when did
challenge,
they have at
Jeff
the beginning of
asks,
the challenge they had a chance to talk, or at the
yeah,
end of the challenge?
well, mid challenge. So Jeff talks to Brad.
They were the last
Brad
ones on the
says his
pontoons. It
sentence.
was at the end.
No. This happened both times. So both comments were said at the beginning of the challenge,
Oh yeah.
and Brad screwed up his horrible delivery of the yeah.
So did they really have a chance to talk, or were they both putting themselves out there? Because I think there's a difference. Like,
But here's my
they
question:
they had a
could
chance.
Xander have told it to Brad in the middle of the challenge? Did
No.
Xander need to repeat that
When
line at the very beginning?
could he have done that in the
When
middle of? Hold on. So we're
him and
talking. We've
Brad
got,
were both sitting on pontoons talking to each other. That was
which were
not the
the
beginning of the challenge. That was not
right.
the beginning of the challenge.
But your question is, could they have done it in the middle of the challenge? Which is an important question. Brad and Xander were on opposite pontoons, and the other team was in the middle. So, in the middle of that challenge, is there going to be a time for a player 2 pontoons over to say something to you that isn't going to completely heat you out, and make players on your team think that you're a suspect, make players on the team pontoon in between the two of you suspect? Like, no, man. Like,
When
you're
would you
you're
bring that
trying to.
up? If you had one of those three sentences,
There's
when
no
would you
good
bring
time.
it up? There's
There's
no
no
good
good time.
time. You would throw it in the fire. You don't care about that advantage. Fuck it. There's
I
no way of bringing it up. That
I
sounds nuts, dude.
I I bring in for your honor's consideration. I bring into consideration season 34. Yeah, man.
No, but
It's
seriously, like, would
it's
you
not a
not try
it's
and
not
bring
an
it up
advantage
during a
that they've
challenge?
it's not an advantage that they've created that's viable, in my opinion. As much as I
So,
loved it in the beginning, it's not a viable advantage. It's not something that players are going to
so
use,
what you are
and
saying
therefore
is
a throwaway magic card.
you would throw it in the fire if you got that challenge. That's what you're saying.
If I played in season 42, 100%,
If
110%.
you played in season 41, what would you do? That's my question.
I mean, it seems far fetched. How do if I got that in season 41, I would pick it up. I would listen for the other things. And honestly, I would probably wait and listen for teams 1 and 2 to say it before I was like, yeah, I have the third piece of the Triforce here. Let's do this.
Makes
Um,
sense. Makes sense. Okay.
why 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 would you why would you make yourself a mark? I,
It's the same thing with the shot in the dark dice. You're throwing
the
everything in the
sh-
wall and see what sticks. Like
the shot and the dart, the shot in the dark
no, but
dice
well,
it's got
actually,
better
this is a
odds.
quick question, but
It's got
we'll
better
get into
odds.
that. Well, hold on. Okay, we're already at an hour
Okay.
here. I'm gonna try and
Yeah,
move us along here.
sure.
Um, so we get to the challenge.
Okay.
So this is an interesting challenge. It's you have to move across a tightrope with like ropes above you, and you have to hang across and get your way. Um, do you have any notes on this? Because I have a couple.
um, nothing really. I I like that everybody really gave it their all on this one. I think I've done stuff like this, like hanging from ropes physically as you're like walking across another rope is not like there's a lot of stuff going on there. Um, Honestly, I was watching them do this and thinking about how little they've ate for the last while, and just been like, oh, yeah.
And Tiff, the lone struggler from last season, manages to struggle again, but she makes it through. Way to go, Tiff. Like she was like a huge talking point in episode 2 about how she was like not so good at challenges.
I
Way to
noticed
go,
the
Tiff.
cameras. I noticed the cameras here made it really look like she was struggling on this one.
Well, they tried. And by the way, a couple things, a couple players I noticed that really went through. Shan nailed it. Nasir was just a beast. Made it through like he does that for breakfast. Like there was a couple of
Wow,
really good performances in this challenge.
definitely.
Um Wait, where am I on my notes here?
I like this. I had this quote from the "Don't panic out here, just mind the touch," and it's like it's so easy to say, but like you're tight roping across, right? And you're
Yeah.
like, I don't know, man. Like I've done some obstacle courses in my life, and yeah, I don't know.
Did you ever have to do like throwing beanbags up into the air onto increasingly higher and higher platforms?
No, I mean, but they were like tight roping across tropical water, where I tight roped across disgusting stagnant water. So
Yeah,
there's
fair enough.
I would have gone for the bean bags, but yeah, I'm in. Yeah.
What did you think of JD's attempt as to trying to like jump ahead and trying to do like layups?
So I mean, I get the so I mean here's one of the things that I want to know, like as
Yeah.
a newer, what are the rules between who's throwing the beanbags? Because I've seen it multiple seasons. Well, not multiple. I've seen it 4 or 5 seasons where they're at this point in the challenge and someone can be throwing beanbags, and you've got the people behind them being like, I can do that better, or go, right? And um, teams have the ability to opt out and have someone else like pull a pitch hitter, right? And like, what are the rules around that, and how does that, you know what I mean? Like, um, yeah, like he took a couple shots, but at the same time, um, there's been lots of times in the seasons of Survivor that I've seen where people can, make a play and everyone's like, "Oh my god, that was awesome because you did it." Right? But everyone is very quick to be like, "Well, no, I think I should step in. I think I should step in." And where's that balance, right? Because, sometimes you get a player who does have good aim, good coordination, and then sometimes, they're maybe they do, but they're having a bad day. And how do you balance that stuff? It's never really seemed to be very regimented where like player one goes through the obstacle course, player one has to throw a beanbag.
How would it be regimented? Like, I'm curious, what are you talking about, right? Like it's
So,
like
well,
some
just like I said,
people do this part of the thing, some people do this part of the competition, some people do that part of the conversation. So once you decide on those two people that are like puzzle makers, it's done. It's out of your hands. You've gotten the puzzle pieces to them. Just
sure,
cheer
but
them on.
there's no puzzle at the end of this puddle. You have a huddle of players trying to hurl beanbags up onto little things, right?
Right. So
Yeah.
who decides who hurls the
So,
beanbags?
well, that's what
There's
I'm
no
saying. It's
system.
not like one
There's
of
no
those
system.
puzzles.
Were you
Well, in some
would you have
games there
stood
are.
up in front of no, but in this exact challenge, would you have stood up in front of your team and said,
Right.
I got
But
this? Or would you be afraid of missing too many times, so I'm not going to? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're either the goat or
so in some other
the
challenges,
albatross.
there's two or three players that are designated as the finishers, the puzzle players.
Hmm.
In this situation, there's no puzzle, right?
Hmm.
So now instead of having a couple players on the tribe designated as the puzzle finishers, which you could kind of clearly lay blame on if they win or they lose, now you have the whole rabble, right? And you're like rabble, 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 and there's somebody there throwing beanbags, but it's not as easy in a challenge like this to be like, well, you two or three players are the puzzle finishers. Now we've gotten to the end of the challenge, and now we have the whole pool to pull from, and we're taking turns at who's going to do that. And it's not really governed as to like, it's not like player one goes through the maze, tosses a bean, player two goes through the maze,
Yeah.
tosses a
Yeah.
bean, player three
It's
goes through the
not
maze,
governed at
tosses
all.
a bean.
So who governs it?
Well, the players.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah,
it's
no, exactly. But it's like it's
like, are you
and
mad at the rules or the certain teams for making certain decisions?
well, uh I can be as a viewer sometimes frustrated that the last leg of the challenge is dictated, these two players are doing it, and then sometimes it's like the last leg of the players, the leg of the challenge, these five players are dealing with it, and we're just gonna see who does what. And I mean, I get it. It's a little bit of a group decision, but at the same time, I mean, is it that much of a
Okay,
group decision?
so can I just in case, Drew, if you were
Yeah,
curious, it
go ahead.
is 1 hour 8 minutes, and we are just about to get to the end of the challenge. Um,
Yeah,
so Tiff has a bit of a struggle, but she fights through it. She gets to the platform, she unties a knot, and then just rolls off the platform. Jeff says he gives her a 3.5 for entry. Um, I know. I was a big fan. I loved that Jeff was commenting on her reentry, but like, good for Tiff, she did it. Um,
I like
JD
Tiff. I'm not
tried
gonna
to
lie.
do layups. I'm just like, JD, you're too cocky for your own good.
Well, I think for the whole season we've known he's kind of trying a little bit too hard, right?
That's true. That's true.
I like JD though. No shade.
So Yasa and Luvu both win. Uwa is the one going to tribal. I
Yeah.
liked Jeannie's commitment to her hatred, where she like got up and like kicked the sit out bench she was sitting at. Like she was mad. Props.
I don't know about the commitment to hatred, but I was like, oh,
No,
I
but she was
I
like, I'm so pissed off. Gets up and kicks the. I was like, go, Jeannie, go.
I
Go,
I
Gina, go, go,
I
go, go.
I saw it as unsportsmanlike behavior when I saw it. I was like, no.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I did
So
for me.
so now we're back at day 7.
Yeah.
Oh man. And suddenly people start gunning for Brad.
So who's people?
Well,
How
hold
does it
on.
start?
No, that can't be right. I have in my notes where I say Brad starts gunning for Brad. I'm like, that can't be right.
I wasn't gonna say it, but yeah. Okay.
Brad
Sorry.
starts gunning for Brad. That's not a thing. Um, how about we move on to Shan catching JD in a lie? JD comes back to camp after going to the well or the bathroom,
So
who knows?
okay.
And Shan is like, "What's that piece of paper sticking out above your waistline?" And yeah,
So if you
JD is
guys,
like, yeah,
if y'all will allow me, I want to go just like a little bit ahead and then back. Um.
can't wait."
So Shan talks to him about it, right? Finds out about it. Um. She's like, yeah, he's got, you know, some little piece of paper in his pocket, and I I don't know. I guess I get what Shan is doing. Like, that's kind of what she has to do. But that
By the way,
whole,
when Shan's talking to JD, Shan doesn't know about the Brad stuff. I don't think at this point.
yeah, of course she doesn't. The thing
Like,
that,
who knows what and when is important? That's all I'm saying.
right, the thing that bothered me, well, not bothered me, but I was kind of like, preach, testify, whatever word you want to use, when she kind of puts it on, was like, well, why didn't you tell me about that? And it's like, it's such a it's such a victim thing to say, why didn't you tell me about that? No, dude. Like, I have an advantage. Why should I tell you about that? What faith have you built in me that I owe you that this early in the game? And that whole victim of like, well, I don't know what we're gonna do now. You didn't tell me. I'm like, dude, I get
Okay.
it. I get it. I get it. It's a strong play on her part, but
Are you sure you do? Like, what is he supposed to do? What are his options? When
I am
she
sure.
says that,
I am certain.
what are his
I am very
options?
sure. I'm
Explain
certain.
to me these other avenues he could have explored.
So
I don't think he
I'm just
had
gonna let you
much.
know this, and uh,
I
I
think
liked it.
JD had one option,
I liked it.
and number 2 was getting voted out. Those were his 2 options.
So I liked it. My girlfriend didn't like it. I liked the little dreadlock coming out of the buff. Um,
Me
sorry,
too. Me too.
little
To
joke.
be fair, me too.
Um, so he's talking to her. Well, from what we see, from what the cameras tell us, but he's like, yeah, man, that's smart survivor play. You don't tell somebody about an advantage that you have. I feel like that's a very truthful statement. He wasn't withholding, like, at this point in the game, he's not conspiring against her. So this whole BS of her, oh, well, you're conspiring against me because there's something you haven't told
Hold
me.
on. Remember to keep what episode we're talking
I
about
know.
in mind. Okay.
No, yeah.
But like,
No, bro, I'm not giving spoilers. You chill with your stuff. So
okay.
the whole thing of her being like, well, How could you not have told me? I can't believe. Like, dude, it like what he had going on hadn't even come into play yet. The two of them had a relationship, right? It wasn't like the two of them were on the outs or conspiring against each other, or that there was even any bad blood. It was literally something was happening in his life in this game of Survivor, and she found out about, and she chose to go, huh, how could you? Oh, dude, that's like, that's like, that's like crying on the beach, man. Done, in my
Well,
opinion. Like,
hold on. Are you saying Shan was out of line
yes,
when she sees a
yes,
note above
125%.
someone's waistline?
Yes,
She should
125%.
have she
Yeah.
should have just let JD off the hook?
So here's the thing.
Why?
Here's the thing. If you have to come to somebody and be like, oh my God, how could you? How could you?
Yeah.
That means that you never earned that person's trust on that level to begin with. So now you're just trying to play the victim and be like, well, why couldn't you have told me?
Well,
Instead of
no. The
instead
fact that
of
you can
instead of asking yourself, instead of like going back and be like, wow, how did I not see this coming? How was I not
the
my
fact
how
that
is my social game not good enough to really be in touch with this person and know what's going on? It's like it's literally the moment you realize that in the scheme of things in this person's life, do you know, you're not, you know, number one or number 1.5 or two. You're like, well, with this, I'm like at a three, and it's playing the victim, and it's like, well, I really need to get up there. You need to tell me about this. Like, it's like like he said to her, he was like, in Survivor, you don't give this kind of stuff up. This, like he said it, they edited it out, but he clearly said it. This doesn't mean that I'm being disloyal to you. This is just a thing that happened to me in this game. And she immediately treats it like it's a betrayal. And like, I mean, it's a strong play, but I don't think it's going to get you any votes at the final. That's my opinion. And like, I get it. Um,
Are you sure you
she
get it? You can't just talk for 8 minutes and then say, "But I get it." You obviously disagree with it.
sorry. When I say I get it, what I mean is I get the play that she's trying to make, but
Uh-huh.
I don't think it's going to work. I don't think, like, when we get down to end of this season and there's three people sitting there, um, I don't think if she's on that final three, I don't think she's going to get votes. And I think if she's not on that final three, I think her vote isn't going to count. I think she's playing too hard, too fast, is my opinion.
Okay. So
And internet,
to try and bring
light
this
me up if I'm
train
wrong.
back onto the tracks here, before we get to final tribal, Shan talks about trying to choose between, because it seems like after she talks to Ricard thinks Brad, and then
Can
it
I,
turns into a Brad versus JD. What?
without being a dick, can I just call Ricard Tekken 5? Is that okay? No? Maybe not.
Yeah, I will remember from now on to say Tekken 5. That's the thing. Tekken reference. Okay. So I'm gonna make a sound effects and I'll add that in later. I think it'll be funny.
I should
Um
probably, I should
so
probably
so so they go to tribal council and it seems like it's yeah, JD versus Brad. Um
honestly, man, like when I watched this tribal, I was lost. I being a
can I
newbie,
say one of my favorite JD lines of the whole episode?
yeah.
JD says after he got like caught with like the note in his waist, he says, "Today is like like today is like when crap hit the fan, and the fan was made out of crap." It's fantastic. You're a wordsmith, JD. Don't ever stop. Keep doing it. Yeah, that was great.
The eye contact was amazing.
And so JD gives Shan his extra vote to try and seem trustworthy. What do you think of that? Would you give someone your extra vote if you were in JD's position to be like, you can trust me. Here's my vote. Like,
to quote Mr. Fairplay, I think Shan was going all hearts and flowers, and I think that's the play that JD had to make. I might have died, and I might have chosen to die in the actual fire. Be like, I'm not giving you anything,
right?
Because I feel like Shan's got some strong manipulative game, but I just bothers me.
There's some.
I mean, it's like, what do you do, right? You're like,
what do you do? What do you do? Shan has everyone in that tribe by the balls. She's giving everyone an exam at all times. No one's allowed to cough without her knowing what's up.
I would really it's petty, but I would really choose to give her no ground.
Oh man, what would you do? How do you combat that? Like, what do you do? Like, if you're Ricard, what are you supposed to do? Not listen to Shan? Like, Shan's.
Well, if I was Ricard, I would get out my gi. I would flex my chest scar, flex my silver hair, and do a no.
Right.
Sorry.
Tekken, right? Yeah. I forgot. I walked right into that one. That one's on me.
If I were JD, I don't know that I would. Well,
okay.
I guess he's still in a position to get some going, so I don't know that. But I would. I mean, that's a really hard line to walk for him right now because he's a good player. He knows that she's a good player, and it's really a very fine line of like, what do I give up to her?
So they go to tribal, and I've been waiting to do this all time, or the whole time. Hey, Drew, what is this riddle? What does that mean?
Rock boat. No rock boats. No hitting the boats. No hitting the rocks with the boats. I don't know. And we
don't rock the boat. Don't rock the boat, baby. Rock the boat. Don't tip the boat over. Rock the boat.
There's no song for that.
There is an actual song for that. I was singing an actual song. Anyway, it's Don't Rock the Boat.
He also sent it to me. Who sang it?
What?
Nothing. Who sang it?
Oh, okay.
Who sang it?
But that's an actual song. That's an actual song.
Yeah, but who actually sang it?
Oh my god. Okay, I'll Google it on air because Drew thinks I'm wrong.
No, I don't think you're wrong.
Don't rock the boat. It's like a 70s thing.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, what song is that? Oh man. Okay.
Midnight Star. Midnight Star. Don't rock the boat.
Okay, sweet.
I don't know if that has anything to do with Survivor, but rock the boat is a very good way to start into tribal council.
I mean, it is.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Can I just point out one thing I didn't like about this tribal council?
Sure.
JD starts talking, and there's like a swell of music, piano in the background, and he talks about how, I don't know, it just seemed, when I heard him talking about like, oh, I do this because I'm a big Survivor fan and I'm no longer bullied because of Survivor, and that's why I went to be on this show. And then I legit wish I had a screen capture, but Shan and Ricard share a look in the back row And they look at each other and they're like,
So
and they just look back around like, it has to be done. We're gonna have to slit his throat, whatever.
can I hold you there for 1 second?
Sure can.
So I'm gonna call back to a, and I'm sorry, Shan, I don't know you personally, but I'm gonna call this a hearts and flowers. Call this a hearts and flowers moment. The whole thing with Shay, like my parents got divorced.
Oh, I missed that.
I
I
don't,
missed that.
I
Good
don't,
point. Good
I
point.
always had a hard time. I always knew I was gonna disappoint one person. Like
I'm not gonna lie.
I'm
I
not gonna
forgot
swear.
about that. It got me a little teary-eyed when she gave that speech. I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Shan."
I'm gonna tell you this. It didn't get me teary-eyed. I was
Okay.
born in '77. Kids my age, everybody had divorced parents. Everybody had to go through that. It's 2021. It's not a heartbreaking thing anymore. That's life. Everybody my age had to have 2 Christmases, 2 Thanksgivings, 2 summer breaks, 2 whatever. Like, if, like, I apologize that that's something that you're still struggling with, but I don't think that's something that Survivor, like, people, like, should have, like, call attention to. It's old hat, man. It's, yeah. Like, every vote in Survivor is probably come down to 2 different people, and the whole I don't know who to vote for. I'm done with it. I don't even care. It doesn't move me.
Okay, fair
Sorry.
enough.
And internet, email me about it. If you're mad
Yeah,
about it, I give you my email.
like I always say, if anyone agrees with me, there'll be a link in the description down below. Please like and subscribe. If you disagree with Drew, then yeah, the link will be down below. Please like and subscribe.
You can still like and subscribe even if you
unless you hate Drew and you can unlike and subscribe all the way. But like, I'd like it at least email explaining why you hate this man. Like I can maybe understand a little bit, but just really paint me a picture as to why this man is the worst human being ever. How's it going, Drew? Let's continue on with the show.
I like to rant. I like to discuss. It's okay. I want to know what you guys think. Let's do it. No shade.
So, I mean, like, Jeff doesn't really, like, he tries to stir up his best at this tribal council. He tries to go, do you keep the tribe strong? Do you go with alliances? And JD says, I think my favorite line so far of the whole season is he goes, I'm not worried as long as everyone says what they were going to do, right? And then he like, oh, it's just, oh man, JD. Yeah.
Okay. So 20-second sidebar.
Yeah.
Email us, like, get in contact with us. Has there ever been a moment as a Survivor fan that you felt like you were watching like Law and Order SVU or Matlock or whatever, and Jeff says something to the jury?
How old do you think our fans are? Just saying, Matlock? You threw Matlock out there?
Okay. I did. Wow. Yeah, I shouldn't have said that.
Sorry, I was like, Matlock? This is going to be sent to other people other than our mother.
Are you trying to offend? Like, you're just trying to exclude people. You're like, no, we don't care about older people.
Okay, fine. Let me start my own poll. Everyone in our comments that like watching Matlock, give a big thumbs up to this video.
This fellow over here?
Yeah.
Can't. Not Gen X.
Yeah.
Okay.
This fellow over here, loves Matlock. He loves it.
I do actually.
Matlock's his jam.
I mean,
Matlock. That guy.
I rocked it for a while. So, like, I lost it. Okay, we'll come back to it.
Okay. Let's run this Matlock train into the ground.
No, wait. Okay.
Oh,
Okay,
now you're back.
I got it. Sorry. Thank you, Internet, for your patience. So, and you guys tell me this, and I may be right, may be wrong, because I'm a newer fan, but there are times, and I understand that, sometimes, uh, like the Survivor season is awesome, and there's just plot points that like can't be denied. There's stuff that happens, and the people that make the show, they make it so good, and they make a logical plot. Do you know what I mean? That comes to what the conclusion is, and that makes complete sense. But as a newer fan, there is times, or are times, have been times when I've literally been watching Tribal, and I wanted to be like, and I wish I had a gavel to bang, and I'm not going to do it because I don't want to make a bad sound. But I want to be like, attention, Your Honor, leading the witness. Do you know what I mean? Where there's times when it feels like Jeff, and that's the thing, is us as viewers, we don't have all the info. We don't have all the lead up, right? And he's, and the viewers of the show, or sorry, the producers of the show, they're always trying to make the best thing that's there, right? But there's been times when I've been like, bro, come on, you're leading the witness, like, just more open-ended questions. Do you know what I mean? Like, um, and I guess maybe that's a thing as a newer fan, but there are times when I wish that I could be at tribal council and like ask the questions. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but
Um,
Jeff,
and
like, what is he supposed to do? Just be vague and hope like a
well,
fish bites? You know
it's
what I mean? He
it's not
can't
that
sit there for
he
45
should be.
minutes being like, so
In
I
answer to your
heard
question,
this and
I think
then
yes, he
nothing.
should be
And
more
he
vague.
just has to sit there and ask everyone and then go on to his next line of questioning. Like,
Well,
he's
or
supposed to be a pot stirrer. He's supposed to be. That's his job.
yeah, but are you stirring the pot or are you influencing the vote? Because there's a big difference. There's a
Oh, I
big
don't
difference
think
to being
he's in.
like, "What's up with your day, guys?" And, "Oh man, you are the one that messed up the challenge. Do you think everyone's voting you out tonight?" It's definitely, it's like, it's hate ads in a political campaign,
Yeah,
in my
but
opinion.
they're all
My
politicians at that
opinion.
point. Like, they're all politicians. Like, there's a lot of times I've read interviews where survivors
Yeah,
are
but
like,
if you're
I
Jeff
knew,
Rose,
no, hold on. There's I would say maybe 80% of the time survivors know what they're gonna vote before they even leave camp.
yeah.
Before they even leave camp.
How do you even, okay, that's a hard quantity or static.
The show doesn't commonly edit, here's what was going on in camp, and then suddenly tribal things completely change. The only time things completely
What?
change is when
Are you kidding
everyone
me?
gets up out of their seats, right? But I'm saying,
You don't need to raise your
if
voice.
it's not a live tribal, I feel like decisions made before people even get there.
So when you
Live
say the
tribal is
show
the
doesn't
only
edit a
time.
lot of stuff out,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna give you one word, coach. They edit stuff out, man.
Okay. No, I know they edit stuff out.
Right. So all I'm saying is, if you're at tribal, and I know that we see, I don't know what, 5% of the questions that Jeff asks the panel,
Yeah.
I'm sure they're there for way longer. I'm sure
Oh,
it's
100%.
it's probably kind of a hard, arduous process. After you've been through a really hard day, you lost your challenge, you're feeling defeated, you're there, right? You're there with your tribes mates. You've already got there, you know, with kind of a plan, like you said, like, right? Like, people kind of, they're like, okay, here's what I'm doing. Um, there are times when I feel like, there are questions when I'm like, objection, Your Honor, like leading the witness, like the team has a plan and you're trying to dig up stuff and change things, or maybe that's not the intention, but the editing and the way the final product comes across, sometimes it feels like that. It's like, oh, what do you think about? Oh, what do you think about this? And it's like, well, everybody knows what we think about that. Like,
How
we're here.
boring would the show be if Jeff just said, "Hey, no questions, let's just vote"? Like, what is he supposed to do? He has to ask questions that are going to mix things up. He's essentially the spoon that gets put in after the stew has been boiling
I
and
mean,
just stirs it a couple times and gives it a taste. That's what he does.
you could have everybody show up like it's final
He
three
doesn't he
and make
doesn't
their
add
case.
he doesn't add any ingredients. He just
Oh, I think
asks
Jeff would be
things.
mad if you said that to him.
Jeff doesn't
What do you
add
mean? What do you
ingredients. He
mean he doesn't
doesn't
add any
say
ingredients?
he
The man
doesn't
adds
he doesn't
ingredients.
lie about people. When he's
No,
talking to people
I'm
at
not saying
tribal, he
that.
doesn't lie. He just
No,
goes, "So, you had a rough time today. Let's talk about that." Or someone has a weird face
no,
during someone else's answer. He's like, "How did that make you feel?" He's essentially Dr. Phil. He doesn't invent or conjure things that aren't real.
I
He
don't think they look
just
at the weird faces. I look at the weird faces. I'm always
Oh,
like,
Jeff looks at the weird faces. Jeff will even look at your weird words, like the second episode. Like, I
we
can't
need to move
remember
on from
who
weird
said
faces.
something. I think it was Volche who said something, and Jeff was like, "Wow, he said a lot of words, and yet he didn't
Right.
say
Okay.
anything."
Again, objection, Your Honor. Leading the witness. Like, isn't that a little bit of like that's like you're the facilitator and you're just trying to draw stuff out of people, and then while stuff's going on, you're like, that guy looks sus. That's all I'm saying.
Shouldn't have given such a transparently dissectable answer by Jeff. Like, you're not only trying to outsmart
So
your tribe mates, you're trying to
you're trying to
outsmart
outsmart
Jeff.
Jeff. Okay. Good to know if I
there's
ever get on
there's
the
there's
show.
times where people have given answers and Jeff hasn't addressed it because the survivor player has given enough meat on the bone that Jeff doesn't need to like push further.
Or
And there's
can't.
sometimes people just say something where Jeff's like, that can't be true, right? Like, come on, you just said,
But
know what I mean? Like Jeff is a little bit interrogating you, a little bit journalist. He's not like the
so he's not.
Watcher in the Marvel comics where he's like not allowed to interfere.
So
He's there to try and be the audience.
but let's be
Sometimes
clear,
he
because he
overextends
can't
and
be.
sometimes he
But
doesn't.
let's be clear, you can't be both. You can't be complete journalist and then be like, well, now I'm writing an editorial.
Oh, I think Jeff's. I don't think
Oh
there's
yeah,
a line with Jeff. He's crossed the line on either side.
there isn't. Yeah, so
He's not a journalist. He's a host. He's like I said. He's
That's right.
legit a
I
stir,
agree.
like a pot
I agree.
stirrer.
I agree.
Like, that's all he does. Sometimes the pot stirring is fantastic.
So
Sometimes he stirs the pot and nothing bubbles to the surface.
so that's the thing that we talked about like earlier on, like tonight, and that's the thing that I have a hard time with now. Like like the season coach was in, like it all kind of the way it was edited, it kind of led up to one thing, and then after it was like, oh, he's actually kind of a greasy guy, and I was like, well, I watched 10 episodes of the show where you made me think he was a good guy, and now these last 3 episodes he's kind of greasy, and then like I felt kind of greasy, and I was like, well, I kind of trusted this guy because you guys sort of made me thought I should trust this guy, and rather than make people out to be something that they aren't, I kind of wish that they would just present them as they are episode by episode. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, but come on, dude. How many TV shows have you watched where a character was a bad guy that turned into a good guy over the course of a couple episodes? And was that not worth it? You know what I mean? Like, you can't skip those episodes when. Oh, hold on. I don't want to get into too much meat of the matter because we're already at like 2.5 hours here. But
no, just
almost 1.5
hour and a half.
About an hour left. So it ends up coming down to Brad and JD. Do you want to know how the votes worked, Drew?
I know how the votes worked. Honestly, man, maybe this is just my inexperience as a Survivor fan, but this whole thing kind of mystified me. All the comments at Tribal seemed like a lot of fluff, and at the end, I was like, "Well, that's how it went down," and none of it really moved me.
You
It all
weren't
just
even a little sad to see that Brad
I was
goes out
I
on
was
a 3-1 vote.
I was sad to see people making fraudulent, flaky, fake plays for I don't even know. Um, the whole idea of people making these comments and people looking at each other when people already knew what they were doing. Like I'm not a long time enough fan to understand the nuances and the looks and the
So
like what was all
you
going on
wouldn't have
there.
voted out Brad. You wouldn't have voted out Brad, is what you're
I
telling me.
I would have thought that JD or Shan was going here.
Why would Shan go here?
Shit to Cerber. Come on.
No one sees her as that.
Well, I don't know.
Right? That's all that
None of,
matters.
none of,
If JD and
all
Ricard
the
and
players
Brad
are in the
and
game.
Jeannie all see her as a good guy, then guess what? She's a good guy.
Yeah, but the players in the game, they have their perspective.
Yeah.
I have my gut from a viewer's perspective.
Right.
Right? Just the whole idea of her shaming JD so hard, be like, how could you not tell me? Um, I don't know. It was just when she did that. How could you? And she played that victim stance. I was like, oh, you're sus. For me,
Okay.
right away for me, I was like, can't trust you.
Fair enough. I guess we'll have to end it up there. I mean, Brad goes home. He says in his talking head that that he was dumb for not using his steal a vote, and then he got caught up in just the
How many
I
advantages
guess
did he walk away with?
2.
I thought it was 3.
2. He had the get in the boat, steal a vote thing, which he took instead of a tarp, and he had the 3 phrase. Luvu just has to say the last phrase for him to get the idol, but
Didn't he have an extra vote that he wasn't allowed to until? Oh no, that's the idol. Never mind.
yeah, yeah, he had 2. He had 2 advantages,
But he wasn't allowed to vote at the time, right?
He was never allowed to vote. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of the 3 phrase like secret spy advantage, he lost his right to vote until Luvu said the 3rd thing, because him and Xander, bonded a bit. But
yeah, which is
so
why.
So I will say this: is that being put back in the game, and who do you think finds it from his tribe? Because it's definitely being put back at the Uwa tribe.
Is it?
So, well, it has to be. They're not going to leave that thread dangling.
I guess it's
so everyone,
like by the fire like a freaking marshmallow. Yeah. I guess
anybody but Brad. Who do you think finds it for Ua?
Okay, hold on. Let me tell you. Oh.
We got JD, Ricard, Shan, Jeannie.
Hold on. Ua.
JD, Ricard, Shan, Jeannie. One of those 4 is gonna find that new. I'd be surprised. I think everyone's gonna find one before the merge. That's what I think.
Let's say Tekken. Tekken's gonna do it.
Tekken. That's Ricard. Drew's come up with a very clever nickname for Ricard. By the way,
it's not that
love
clever.
It. I couldn't have come up with anything better.
It's my clever, but no shade Ricard in person. Like, I'm
He's
just.
good. He's making
It's
it to
just
the
the.
merge, in my opinion.
But it's the silver hair and the dark beard, and I feel like I want him in like in a Ryu jersey with a crazy scar across his chest, like wind blowing his hair. Like, do you know what I mean? Fighting somebody
Nice.
on the top of a high rise. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's just stereotypes. I'm not trying to be a dick. I just thought it would be funny. Like, no shade.
Oh no, for sure. It's definitely funny. No one's
Okay.
arguing that.
Yeah.
Well, unless you do want to argue that. Whatever makes people comment, like whatever. Is
Oh,
my hair stupid? Comment on that down below. Do you guys not care about Trevor Linden? Comment on that down below. I don't care.
do not say anything bad about Mr. Trevor. I
Okay.
swear to God. I'm not even a hockey fan, but
It's
don't.
Mr. Linden,
No,
thank you. Anyway,
don't.
we will be back next Sunday every single weekend, and oh man, the rest of the season is going to be a good one. Do you want to say goodbye, Drew?
I do. Goodbye, Internet. Love you guys. Thank you for spending time with us. Like, subscribe, be awesome, and be safe. And